In a quiet coastal town in modern Ghana, a baby girl was born on a rainy night. Her name was Zahara Mensah. The room had no electricity, only a flickering lantern and her mother's shaking hands. Her father had died 3 months earlier in a factory accident. No compensation, no apology, just silence. People whispered, "She's unlucky. A girl born into struggle, she won't go far." But Zahara's mother held her close and said softly, "You may have nothing, but you will never be small." They lived in a single-room house made of cement blocks with a leaking roof and borrowed furniture. Zahara grew up watching her mother wake up before sunrise, sell fried plantains all day, and return home with tired feet and hope in her eyes. There was no father to carry her on his shoulders, no rich uncle, no connections, only values. Her mother taught her 3 things: respect yourself, never beg for love, silence can be power. Zahara listened, and even as a child, she learned how to walk with her head high while the world looked down. Before this story begins, before love, money, pride, and betrayal, support this channel by subscribing and sharing, because stories like this are not just entertainment, they are lessons. Zahara's childhood was not filled with toys. It was filled with responsibility. At 9 years old, she was already helping her mother cook, clean, and sell food. At 11, she knew how to stretch a single meal across 2 days. School was not easy. Her uniform was always clean, but never new. Other girls laughed. "Why do you wear the same shoes every year? Do you even have a mirror at home?" Zahara never answered. She would sit quietly in class, her notebook worn, her pen borrowed. But when teachers asked questions, Zahara's hand always rose. Not loudly, not arrogantly, just confidently. At night, she studied under a streetlight when power went out. Mosquitoes bit her arms. Hunger distracted her mind. Still, she read. Her mother often said, "Education is the one thing poverty cannot steal." Zahara believed her. While others dreamed of marrying rich, Zahara dreamed of earning respect. And slowly, without anyone noticing, she was becoming something dangerous. A poor girl who knew her worth. Teenage years came with new pain. Zahara lost her mother's small business to a fire. Everything burned: money, food, even hope. For weeks, they survived on neighbors' kindness. Some relatives suggested, "Send her to work as a housemaid. At least she'll eat." Zahara overheard. That night, she cried silently, not because she was weak, but because she understood something early. The world respects money more than effort. Yet she refused to be bitter. She started tutoring younger kids after school. Small coins, enough to buy books. Her mother watched her with quiet pride. "You are stronger than this life," she said. But life was not done testing her. One evening, Zahara was publicly accused of stealing chalk at school. No proof, just assumption. She stood there, embarrassed, while others whispered, "Of course it's her." Zahara didn't shout, didn't cry. She simply said, "I didn't take it." Later, the truth came out. Someone else confessed. No apology came to Zahara. She learned another lesson. Justice is slow for the poor. By 17, Zahara had changed. Not physically, but internally. Her voice was calm, her eyes observant. She walked with dignity that confused people. How can someone with nothing look so composed, they wondered. She rejected shortcuts, rejected favors with hidden prices. When men teased her for being too quiet, she smiled and walked away. Her mother fell sick during her final school year. Hospital bills piled up. Zahara sold her only nice dress to pay for medicine. She never complained. At graduation, she stood among students in expensive outfits, wearing borrowed shoes. When her name was called for academic excellence, the room fell silent. People clapped, not loudly, but respectfully. Zahara didn't smile wide. She simply nodded. Inside her heart, she whispered, "This is just the beginning." University was a miracle. A partial scholarship, long commutes, even longer nights. Zahara studied business and community development. She wanted to build something real, something honest. One afternoon, during a campus volunteer project, she met someone who didn't look at her clothes first. His name was Caden Adebayo. He was calm, well-spoken, from a wealthy Lagos family, but he didn't announce it. They worked side by side, planting trees. At first, they spoke about simple things: classes, books, dreams. Caden listened when Zahara spoke, really listened. And Zahara noticed something unfamiliar. She felt seen, not pitied. Neither of them knew it yet, but something had started. Something fragile, something powerful, and something that would soon shake two families. Zahara and Caden continued working on campus projects together. No one noticed their friendship at first because they never boasted, never whispered behind anyone's back. But slowly, small gestures began to speak louder than words. Caden would bring Zahara a bottle of water when she worked under the sun. She noticed, but never commented. One rainy afternoon, while helping flood-affected families, Caden held the umbrella over her. Her hair was wet. Her clothes clung to her body. Yet she didn't complain. He smiled quietly, saying, "You don't have to say thank you. I already see you." Zahara felt warmth she had never known. It wasn't pity. It wasn't admiration. It was respect. And with respect came feelings. Quiet, growing, dangerous in the way that made your heart beat faster, even when you tried to ignore it. Weeks passed. The two spent more time together, studying, volunteering, and sharing small jokes no one else would understand. One evening, under the orange glow of the campus streetlights, Caden spoke first. "You're different, Zahara. Not like anyone I've met before. You deserve more than the world is giving you." Zahara paused. She wanted to believe him, but her life had taught her caution. "I don't need pity," she said softly. "I need someone who respects me, and nothing less." Caden nodded, smiling. "And that's exactly what I feel. Respect first. Everything else will follow." It was a promise neither spoke aloud, but both understood. The first seed of love had been planted, but like all seeds, it needed time. Zahara's home life grew harder. Her mother's health was declining. Bills piled up. Her small income from tutoring barely made a dent. Yet she refused to burden Caden. She refused to complain to anyone. Still, life allowed small joys. Caden would sometimes drop by with groceries or books she had wanted but could not afford. He never made a show of it. Quiet gestures, like a candle in a dark room. One night, while sitting on the veranda, watching her mother sleep, Zahara realized something. She was happier than she had been her whole life. Not because life was easier, but because someone saw her strength, her dignity, her value. It was fragile happiness, but enough to make her heart feel alive. Not everyone welcomed their bond. Caden's family, especially his older sister Adiswea, looked down on Zahara from the first moment she was mentioned. "Who is this girl?" Adiswea whispered to their parents. "She's not worthy. She doesn't belong in our world." Zahara never knew what was said at first, but she felt the tension the first time she visited Lagos. Sideways glances, whispered comments, Rich friends mocking her simple dress, her worn shoes, even her calm smile. One evening, while helping Caden clean his family's garden, she overheard Adiswea say to his mother, "She's not even from a proper family. Why are we wasting time?" Zahara didn't respond. Her mother's words echoed in her mind. Silence can be power, and she held her head high, even as her heart ached. Rumors started circulating. Caden's family began discussing marriage, but not in the way Zahara hoped. The topic of bride price came up during a family dinner. "How much is this girl worth?" someone whispered. Zahara felt the weight of their judgment. They saw her as a commodity, not a human being. Her mother, back home, advised caution. "Remember, Zahara, dignity is priceless. Don't let anyone make you feel less than you are." Meanwhile, Caden noticed the discomfort in her eyes. He felt anger rising, but he controlled it. He didn't want to fight yet. He wanted to protect her in the way only someone who truly loved her could. And so, the tension began to build. Family mocking her value, whispered insults, the shadow of a bride price that would soon define their future. The story was no longer about young love alone. It was about pride, respect, and the courage to claim what is rightfully hers. The first time Zahara visited Caden's Lagos home formally, she felt the eyes of the whole family on her. The living room smelled of polished wood and expensive perfume. Adeswa sat on the sofa, arms crossed, lips pressed tight. Caden's mother smiled politely, but Zahara could feel the judgment hiding behind it. As she offered a traditional greeting, a cousin whispered, "Does she even know how to eat properly with these people?" Zahara smiled faintly and stayed silent. Every insult bounced off her dignity like water off stone. Later, in the kitchen, someone asked, "What family does she even come from?" She could feel the room shrink around her. Her mother's teachings echoed. Silence can be power. Zahara didn't respond. She simply stood, cleaned her hands, and left the kitchen. Caden noticed every glance. He felt the tension in his chest, but he knew reacting too early could make things worse. Love, he realized, required patience, and Zahara had taught him what strength really looked like. Despite the whispers and mockery, their bond grew. Caden would meet Zahara secretly in gardens, libraries, and quiet corners of the university. They laughed, shared dreams, and sometimes sat in silence. One rainy evening, as Zahara spoke about her mother's sacrifices, Caden said quietly, "You've carried more than most will ever understand, but I see you, truly." Zahara looked away, feeling warmth in her chest. "I don't need pity," she replied softly. "I just want to be valued for who I am." He took her hand. No words, just understanding. No need for grand gestures. Love was already here, hidden in the silence, the small moments, the respect. Even as the family plotted and mocked, Zahara found strength in that hidden heart, a place where no wealth or pride could touch her. It happened sooner than anyone expected. At a formal family meeting, Caden's father cleared his throat. "Now, about the bride price." The room tensed. Adesawa's eyes flashed with contempt, her voice sharp. "Really? Are we seriously considering her, a girl from nowhere?" Caden's mother chimed in. "We can set a small price. She's not worth much." Zahara froze for a moment, but she did not cry. She did not speak. Her mother's lessons whispered in her mind. Dignity cannot be bought or sold. It must be worn like armor. Caden felt fury boiling. He clenched his fists, but his calm voice broke the room's tension. "She is worth everything, more than anything money can buy." Adesuwa scoffed. "You'll pay double then, I suppose." A small, dangerous smile formed on Caden's lips. "You will see."
Zahara returned home that evening. Her heart was heavy. The insults, the laughter behind her back, the whispers. It was all too familiar. Her mother hugged her tightly. "Never let them see you falter, Zahara. Your strength, it is louder than their voices." Zahara nodded. She closed her eyes and remembered the girl she used to be. The child who sold fried plantains, the teenager who walked through judgment without crying, the young woman who had learned that respect was earned, not given. And now she would show them again, not with anger, not with revenge, but with the power of quiet dignity.
The next day, Caden came to her home. The sun was setting, painting the sky in golden hues. He took her hand, looked into her eyes, and said, "I know they don't see your value, but I do, and I will honor it, not because I am rich, but because you are priceless." Zahara felt tears well up, but she smiled through them. Finally, someone believed in her worth. That evening, they talked about the future. Respect, honor, love that isn't measured by wealth. Little did they know, the storm in Caden's family was about to erupt, and Zahara's quiet courage would soon demand respect in ways no one expected. The next family meeting was different. The air in Caden's house felt heavy, almost suffocating. Adesua leaned back, arms crossed, smirking. "This girl, she's unworthy. Do we really have to honor this?" Caden stood. Every eye turned to him. His voice was calm but sharp. "She is more worthy than any of us could ever imagine, and I will honor her completely." Gasps filled the room, whispers like wildfire. Adesua's lips trembled, her eyes wide. Caden continued, "I will pay the bride price, not the small amount you suggested. I will pay double, every coin, every gift, to show that respect cannot be measured by your pride." The room went silent, then murmurs of disbelief. "This is outrageous," someone whispered. But Caden's calm gaze never left Zahara. In that moment, she realized the world might try to break her, but love paired with integrity can break the world's expectations instead. When the news of the double price reached the extended family, shock rippled through every corner. Rich relatives who had whispered and laughed behind her back now looked on in stunned silence. Adesua's face went pale. How can he do this?" she stammered. "He's ruining the family reputation." Caden didn't answer her. He simply held Zahara's hand firmly. The double price was more than money. It was a statement. Her worth is not what you think. Her dignity is priceless. Even distant cousins who had mocked her appearance and clothes now whispered to each other in awe. She is valued more than we ever imagined." Zahara didn't smile immediately. Her eyes were calm, unwavering. Her victory wasn't loud or flashy. It was the quiet satisfaction of being seen for who she truly is. For the first time, Adesua and some relatives realized their arrogance had consequences. They had underestimated a poor girl. They had thought wealth alone gave them power. They had mocked her simple dress, her worn shoes, her quiet demeanor. Now the reality stung harder than any insult they could deliver. Zahara stood tall, wearing nothing but her calm and grace. Every glance at her seemed to pierce the arrogance of the room. Adesua tried to cover her shock with a forced laugh, but it faltered under the weight of truth. The lesson was clear. Respect cannot be demanded, bought, or faked. It must be awakened. And it often comes from those who have the least but hold the most dignity. Zahara returned home after the meeting. Her mother hugged her tightly, tears rolling down her cheeks.
You did it, my child, not by fighting, not by shouting, but by being who you are." Zahara smiled softly. It wasn't a celebration of money or victory over others. It was a quiet affirmation. Her life, her values, her honor were intact. Caden joined them, holding her hand. "I promised you respect," he whispered, "and I will always honor you. Nothing your family says or does can change that." For the first time, Zahara felt fully seen, fully acknowledged. Her journey from poverty, silence, and ridicule had led her here, and it was beautiful.
The wedding preparations were simple yet elegant. Zahara's simple dress glowed in the sunlight, her smile radiant and confident. Caden by her side, proud, protective, and in love. Even the wealthy family had to admit, silently, that they had misjudged her. At the ceremony, as they exchanged vows, Zahara whispered to Caden, "I never needed their approval. I just needed to stay true to myself." And Caden replied, "You've always been priceless. Today, everyone finally knows it." The crowd cheered, but Zahara didn't need the applause. Her heart was full, her dignity intact, her future bright. The story was no longer about wealth, judgment, or bride price. It was about courage, patience, and quiet strength, and how these can change even the proudest hearts. The wedding day arrived quietly. No loud announcements, no unnecessary display of wealth, just dignity. Zahara woke up before sunrise, sitting beside her mother in silence. The room smelled of incense and fresh fabric. Her mother adjusted her head wrap and whispered, "Today, you are not marrying money, you are marrying respect." Outside, cars began to arrive. Family members gathered, some smiling honestly, others hiding regret behind forced faces. Arasua stood among them, dressed in expensive lace, but something was missing, her pride. When Zahara walked in, the room shifted. She wore a simple yet elegant dress, no diamonds, no excess, yet every eye followed her. People who once laughed now whispered, "She carries herself like royalty." Caden stood waiting. When he saw Zahara, his breath caught, not because she looked rich, but because she looked unbreakable. As they stood together, elders spoke of unity, patience, and honor. The bride price was mentioned, not as money, but as a symbol of respect once denied, and now fully restored. Zahara's mother's eyes filled with tears, not of pain, but of pride. For the first time, she felt her daughter's journey had been seen, and for the first time, Zahara felt something she had waited her whole life for, belonging without compromise. Life continued after the wedding, but something had changed, not just for Zahara and Caden, but for everyone who witnessed their story. The family that once measured people by wealth now spoke more carefully. The relatives who once mocked silence now understood its power. Zahara never reminded them of the past. She didn't need to. Her presence was enough. She treated everyone with the same respect, those who honored her and those who once humiliated her. One evening, Caden asked her, "After everything, do you feel victorious?" Zahara smiled gently and replied, "I never wanted victory. I wanted dignity, and dignity doesn't scream, it stays." Her story spread quietly, not as gossip, but as a lesson, that true worth is not decided by money, family name, or background. It is revealed by how you treat others, how you hold yourself in pain, and how you stay kind when the world gives you reasons to harden. And so this story ends where it truly began, with a girl who had nothing, yet never lost herself. If this story touched your heart,
Remember, not every battle needs a voice. Not every injustice needs revenge. Sometimes the strongest answer is who you become. Support this channel by subscribing and sharing so more stories of dignity, patience, and quiet strength can reach the world.